The journey towards a meaningful life, as previously discussed, involves navigating the complexities of existential anxiety and cultivating a sense of purpose. However, this pursuit is inextricably linked to another fundamental aspect of the human condition: freedom. Our capacity for choice, for shaping our own destinies, is a defining characteristic of our existence. Yet this very freedom carries with it a profound paradox. The liberating potential of choice is often intertwined with the anxiety of responsibility. This inherent tension between liberation and anxiety forms the crux of this section. The experience of freedom is not uniform. It is shaped by a complex interplay of internal factors: our beliefs, values, and psychological predispositions, and external factors, the societal structures and cultural norms that constrain or enable our choices. The freedom to choose a career path, for example, is significantly impacted by socioeconomic factors. A child born into poverty may have far fewer opportunities than one born into privilege, regardless of their inherent talents or ambitions. Their freedom is constrained by systemic inequalities that limit their access to education, resources, and networks. This highlights a crucial point. True freedom is not simply the absence of external constraints. It is also the presence of opportunities and resources that enable individuals to exercise their choices effectively. Furthermore, the societal structures themselves, laws, regulations, social norms constrain our choices in profound ways, often subtly and unconsciously. Consider, for instance, the pervasive pressure to conform to societal expectations around career paths, relationships, and family structures. These expectations, while often unspoken, can exert a significant influence on our choices, limiting our exploration of alternative possibilities and potentially leading to a sense of dissatisfaction or unfulfillment. The pressure to conform can stifle individuality, restricting our ability to authentically express ourselves and pursue our unique passions. The weight of these expectations can feel oppressive, even when the constraints are self-imposed due to internalized societal norms. The paradox of freedom lies in this tension between the immense potential for self-creation and the inherent anxieties that accompany the responsibility for our choices. Choosing a career path, for example, involves weighing various factors: salary, job satisfaction, work-life balance, and long-term career prospects. The sheer number of choices available can be overwhelming, leading to anxiety and indecision. Even seemingly insignificant choices, like selecting a meal at a restaurant, can generate a level of stress in certain individuals, highlighting the pervasive nature of this paradox. This anxiety is not merely a personal failing. It reflects the inherent weight of responsibility that comes with the capacity to shape our own lives. Philosophically, the implications of this paradox are far-reaching. Existentialist thinkers like Sartre emphasized the radical freedom of human beings, highlighting our responsibility to create meaning in a meaningless universe. This perspective places the burden of creating a meaningful life squarely on the individual's shoulders, a responsibility that can be both exhilarating and terrifying. The absence of preordained meaning leaves us free to define our own values and create our own purpose. But this freedom comes at the cost of an inherent uncertainty and awareness of the profound consequences of our choices. Psychologically, the anxiety associated with freedom often manifests as decision paralysis or regret. The fear of making the wrong choice, of missing out on alternative possibilities, can be paralyzing, leading to inaction or procrastination. The weight of potential consequences can be overwhelming, making even the smallest choices seem fraught with significance. This is further complicated by the inherent human tendency towards counterfactual thinking, mentally revisiting past decisions and imagining alternative outcomes. This process can be particularly agonizing when we perceive our choices to have led to negative consequences, leading to feelings of regret and self-blame. However, the anxiety associated with freedom is not inherently negative. In fact, it can serve as a catalyst for growth and self-discovery. The awareness of our responsibility for our choices can motivate us to act more thoughtfully and intentionally, to align our actions with our values and aspirations. The recognition of our freedom can inspire us to create lives that are authentic and meaningful, reflecting our unique personalities and passions. The ability to learn from our mistakes and adapt to unforeseen circumstances is a crucial aspect of navigating the paradox of freedom. The capacity to change course, to adjust our strategies in response to new information and experiences, is integral to living a fulfilling life. Moreover, societal structures, while often limiting our choices, also provide a framework within which we exercise our freedom. Laws, regulations, and social norms, while restricting certain actions, also create a sense of order and predictability, fostering a sense of security and stability. This framework allows for cooperation, collaboration, and shared social goals. The challenge lies in finding a balance between individual freedom and social responsibility, between personal autonomy and collective well-being. This requires a nuanced understanding of the societal structures that shape our lives, recognizing both their enabling and limiting aspects. Furthermore, the experience of freedom is significantly impacted by our individual psychological makeup. Our personality traits, our coping mechanisms, and our belief systems all influence our ability to navigate the anxieties that accompany choice. Individuals with higher levels of self-efficacy, for instance, tend to be more resilient in the face of challenges and more confident in their ability to make effective choices. Those with a stronger sense of self-worth are better able to withstand the self-criticism and regret that often accompany difficult choices. Cultivating these traits through self-reflection, therapy, or personal development practices can empower individuals to embrace the challenges and opportunities that accompany freedom. Ultimately, the paradox of freedom is not a problem to be solved, but a condition to be navigated. It's a fundamental aspect of the human condition, shaping our experiences, influencing our decisions, and contributing to our sense of purpose. While the anxiety associated with freedom is undeniable, it is also a source of immense potential. Embracing the responsibility that comes with choice, learning from our mistakes, and cultivating resilience are crucial steps in harnessing the liberating power of freedom and creating a life that is both authentic and meaningful. The journey itself is a testament to the human spirit's capacity to overcome adversity, adapt to change, and find purpose amidst the inherent uncertainties of existence. This continuous process of learning, adapting, and making conscious choices is what truly defines our freedom and shapes our individual trajectories within the larger human experience. The weight of choice, therefore, is not a burden to be shunned, but a responsibility to be embraced, a challenge that defines our unique human journey. The preceding discussion highlighted the inherent paradox of freedom, the liberating potential of choice, intertwined with the anxiety of responsibility. This naturally leads us to a crucial aspect of this responsibility: morality. Our choices are not merely personal. They have ethical implications, shaping not only our individual trajectories, but also impacting the lives of others and the broader societal landscape. This subsection explores the concept of moral responsibility and the intricate process of ethical decision-making. Moral responsibility, at its core, refers to the accountability we hold for our actions and their consequences. It's the understanding that our choices are not isolated events but contribute to a larger web of interconnectedness. This understanding is deeply ingrained in many cultural and religious traditions, emphasizing the importance of considering the impact of our actions on others. Whether it's a seemingly minor decision, like choosing to recycle or not, or a more significant one, like deciding whether to report workplace misconduct, the concept of moral responsibility urges us to contemplate the ripple effect of our choices. The philosophical exploration of moral responsibility is rich and multifaceted, encompassing diverse ethical frameworks that offer different perspectives on how to navigate moral dilemmas. Deontology, for example, emphasizes duty and adherence to moral rules, regardless of the consequences. A deontological approach might dictate that lying is always wrong, even if it could prevent harm. Conversely, consequentialism, particularly utilitarianism, focuses on the outcomes of actions. A utilitarian perspective would suggest that the morally right action is the one that maximizes overall happiness and minimizes suffering, even if it involves violating a specific rule. Virtue ethics, on the other hand, shifts the focus from rules and consequences to the character of the moral agent. It emphasizes cultivating virtues such as honesty, compassion, and justice, believing that virtuous individuals will naturally make morally sound choices. Each of these frameworks offers valuable insights, but also presents challenges. Deontology, with its rigid adherence to rules, can sometimes lead to outcomes that seem intuitively unjust. Imagine a scenario where refusing to lie could result in significant harm to an innocent person. Consequentialism, while seemingly pragmatic, can be difficult to apply in practice, as accurately predicting the consequences of actions is often impossible. Furthermore, it can lead to morally questionable decisions if the maximization of overall happiness comes at the expense of individual rights or justice. Virtue ethics, while appealing in its focus on character development, can be subjective and challenging to operationalize, as the definition and application of virtues can vary across cultures and individuals. Navigating moral dilemmas, therefore, is not a simple matter of applying a predefined formula. It often requires a nuanced understanding of the specific context, a careful weighing of competing values, and a deep consideration of the potential consequences for all stakeholders. Ethical decision-making often involves grappling with conflicting obligations, balancing individual needs with collective well-being, and reconciling personal values with societal norms. This process can be intellectually demanding and emotionally taxing, highlighting the complexity of moral responsibility. The challenge of ethical decision-making is further complicated by factors such as bias, emotion, and cognitive limitations. Our personal biases, often unconscious, can subtly influence our judgments, leading us to favor certain outcomes or individuals over others. Emotions such as fear, anger, and empathy can also significantly impact our decision-making processes, sometimes overriding rational considerations. Cognitive biases, such as confirmation bias, the tendency to seek out information that confirms pre-existing beliefs, and the availability heuristic, the tendency to overestimate the likelihood of the events that are easily recalled, can distort our perception of the situation and lead. The impact of societal structures on moral decision-making should also be considered. Social norms, laws, and institutional practices can both support and undermine ethical behavior. Societal structures that promote fairness, transparency, and accountability can foster a culture of ethical conduct, whereas those that are characterized by corruption, inequality, and lack of accountability can create an environment where unethical behavior is more likely to occur. The pressure to conform to group norms can also lead individuals to compromise their ethical values, a phenomenon known as groupthink. Developing strong moral reasoning skills is therefore crucial for navigating the complexities of ethical decision-making. This involves cultivating critical thinking abilities, enhancing self-awareness, and developing empathy for others. It requires a willingness to challenge assumptions, to consider multiple perspectives, and to carefully evaluate the potential consequences of one's actions. Formal education in ethics, combined with reflective practice and engagement with diverse moral perspectives, can greatly enhance our ability to make ethically sound judgments. Beyond individual moral development, promoting ethical behavior requires a collective effort. Institutions and organizations have a significant role to play in creating ethical cultures that encourage responsible conduct. This involves establishing clear ethical guidelines, providing training and education on ethical decision-making, and creating mechanisms for reporting and addressing ethical violations. It also requires fostering a culture of open communication, where individuals feel empowered to raise concerns and challenge unethical practices without fear of reprisal. In conclusion, moral responsibility is an integral part of the human experience, deeply intertwined with our capacity for choice and freedom. Navigating the complexities of ethical decision-making requires a multifaceted approach, incorporating philosophical frameworks, psychological insights, and an understanding of the societal context. Cultivating strong moral reasoning skills, fostering ethical cultures within institutions, and promoting empathy and compassion are all crucial steps in shaping a world where individuals are empowered to make responsible choices and contribute to a more just and equitable society. The weight of our choices extends far beyond ourselves, shaping the world we inhabit and impacting the lives of others in ways both subtle and profound. This interconnectedness underscores the significance of conscious, ethical decision-making as a fundamental aspect of navigating our freedom and fulfilling our responsibilities as human beings. The continuous striving for ethical action is a testament to our capacity for self-reflection, empathy, and the pursuit of a better future for all. The previous section delved into the intricate landscape of individual moral responsibility, highlighting the complexities of ethical decision-making in the face of competing values and personal biases. However, individual agency does not exist in a vacuum. Our understanding and experience of responsibility are profoundly shaped by the social contexts in which we live. This section explores the social construction of responsibility, examining how societal norms, expectations, and power structures influence our choices, and the very definition of what constitutes responsible behavior. The idea that responsibility is socially constructed means that it's not an inherent, fixed attribute of individuals, but rather a product of social interactions, cultural norms, and historical processes. What counts as responsible behavior varies significantly across cultures, time periods, and even within different social groups. For instance, the responsibility to care for aging parents is deeply ingrained in many cultures, while in others, this responsibility may fall primarily on the state or other social institutions. Similarly, the responsibility to participate in civic life, such as voting or engaging in political discourse, is valued differently across societies and historical periods. Social structures play a significant role in determining who is held responsible for particular actions or outcomes. Consider, for example, the different expectations placed upon individuals based on their social class, gender, or race. Historically, and even in contemporary society, individuals from marginalized groups have often been held to different standards of accountability than their privileged counterparts. Systemic inequalities can create situations where individuals lack the resources or opportunities to fulfill societal expectations of responsibility, yet they are still held accountable for their actions. This can lead to a sense of injustice and resentment, further highlighting the social construction of responsibility. The influence of social norms on our understanding of responsibility is pervasive. Social norms are unwritten rules that govern social behavior within a given group or society. These norms dictate what is considered acceptable or unacceptable conduct, influencing our choices and actions, often subconsciously. For example, the social norm of politeness shapes our interactions, leading us to consider the feelings and perspectives of others in our communications. In contrast, a culture that prioritizes individualism might emphasize individual achievement and self-reliance, placing less emphasis on collective responsibility. These varying norms directly impact how individuals perceive their responsibilities to their community and to one another. Moreover, the pressure to conform to social expectations can significantly influence our choices and actions, sometimes leading individuals to compromise their own values or beliefs. This pressure can manifest in various ways, ranging from subtle peer pressure to overt social sanctions. The fear of social disapproval, ostracization, or even legal repercussions can motivate individuals to conform to societal norms, even when those norms clash with their personal sense of morality or justice. This highlights the power dynamics inherent in the social construction of responsibility, where individuals are not merely acting autonomously, but are navigating a complex web of social influences and expectations. Historical examples vividly illustrate the changing nature of social responsibilities. The concept of individual responsibility itself is a relatively recent development, particularly in Western thought. In many traditional societies, responsibility was often understood as a collective or familial affair, with obligations primarily defined within kinship structures. The rise of individualistic ideologies in the modern era shifted the focus towards individual autonomy and personal accountability. However, this shift was not uniform, and it often overlooked the systemic inequalities that limit individual agency and shape the possibilities available to different social groups. The evolution of social responsibility also reflects changing societal values and priorities. The rise of environmental consciousness, for instance, has led to a greater recognition of collective responsibility for environmental protection. Previously, individuals may not have felt responsible for the wider environmental consequences of their actions, whereas today, concepts such as sustainable living and ecological citizenship underscore a heightened awareness of the need for collective action. Similarly, the growing recognition of social justice issues has led to a greater emphasis on social responsibility in areas such as poverty alleviation, human rights, and environmental justice. Understanding the social construction of responsibility is not simply an academic exercise. It has practical implications for addressing social problems and promoting social change. By recognizing how social structures, norms, and power dynamics shape our understanding of responsibility, we can better address issues of injustice and inequality. For instance, policies aimed at promoting social responsibility need to consider the social context in which individuals make choices, taking into account the influence of systemic factors that can limit individual agency. Similarly, efforts to foster a greater sense of social responsibility within communities require an understanding of the prevailing social norms and values. Moreover, acknowledging the social construction of responsibility is essential for cultivating empathy and understanding. By recognizing that different individuals have different experiences and opportunities, we can better appreciate the challenges faced by those who are marginalized or disadvantaged. This, in turn, can promote a greater sense of collective responsibility and motivate individuals to work together to create a more just and equitable society. Furthermore, the dynamic nature of social responsibility necessitates ongoing critical reflection. As societal values and priorities evolve, so too does our understanding of what constitutes responsible behavior. This ongoing process of reassessment and adaptation requires a willingness to question existing norms and practices, to challenge inequalities, and to embrace new ways of thinking about our responsibilities to ourselves, to each other, and to the wider world. This constant dialogue and reassessment are fundamental to navigating the ever-changing landscape of social responsibility. In conclusion, while the previous section focused on the individual's moral compass and ethical decision-making, this section underscores the crucial role of society in shaping our very understanding of what responsibility entails. Our choices, actions, and the weight of our decisions are not isolated events. They are deeply intertwined with the social fabric surrounding us, impacted by the norms, expectations, power structures, and historical contexts that define our lives. Recognizing the social construction of responsibility is paramount for fostering a more just and equitable society, promoting empathy, and fostering a more nuanced understanding of individual agency within a complex social world. The interplay between individual freedom and societal influence forms the intricate tapestry of our collective existence, highlighting the ongoing tension and dialogue between personal responsibility and the social forces that shape our choices and define our actions. Ultimately, acknowledging this interplay is crucial for navigating the complexities of human existence and building a more responsible and compassionate future. The preceding discussion highlighted the profound influence of social constructs on our understanding and experience of responsibility. However, the very foundation of responsibility, the capacity to choose, rests on a deeper philosophical debate, the age-old conflict between determinism and free will. This seemingly abstract philosophical sparring match has profound implications for our understanding of moral accountability and the very nature of human agency. Determinism, in its simplest form, posits that all events, including human actions, are causally determined by prior events and the laws of nature. In this framework, there is no genuine choice. Our actions are merely the inevitable outcome of a chain of cause and effect stretching back to the beginning of time. Imagine a complex, intricate clockwork mechanism. Every tick, every talk, every movement of the hands is preordained by the initial setup and the laws governing its mechanics. Determinism views human behavior similarly, a complex but ultimately predictable consequence of antecedents. These factors extend beyond conscious deliberation. They encompass our genetic predispositions, our upbringing, our social environment, and even the seemingly random events that shape our lives. Neuroscience contributes to this perspective, offering evidence that brain activity precedes conscious awareness of decision-making. Some studies suggest that our brains may decide before we are even consciously aware of making a choice, implying a predetermined pathway leading to our actions. Hard determinism takes this view to its extreme conclusion, asserting that free will is an illusion. If our actions are entirely predetermined, then concepts like moral responsibility become problematic. How can we hold someone accountable for actions that were, in essence, inevitable? Punishment, in a purely deterministic universe, would seem pointless, a mere response to a preordained outcome rather than a deterrent or a consequence of a freely chosen act. This raises significant ethical questions regarding justice systems, societal norms, and the very nature of reward and punishment. Libertarianism, conversely, champions the existence of free will. Libertarians argue that we genuinely possess the capacity to choose between different courses of action, independent of causal determination. They emphasize the subjective experience of deliberation and choice, arguing that our conscious decisions are not merely the playing out of a pre-written script. This perspective upholds the traditional notion of moral responsibility. We are accountable for our actions because we freely chose them. The implication is that we are not merely cogs in a deterministic machine, but rather autonomous agents capable of self-determination and genuine moral decision-making. Compatibilism, also known as soft determinism, attempts to reconcile determinism and free will. Compatibilists acknowledge that our actions may be causally determined, but they argue that free will can still exist if our actions are caused by our own desires and beliefs. In essence, freedom isn't about the absence of causality, but about the source of that causality. If my actions stem from my own internal states, my values, desires, and intentions, then they are considered free, even if those internal states are themselves products of prior causes. This perspective nuances the debate, suggesting that free will and determinism are not mutually exclusive. The critical element becomes the origin of the causal chain. If my actions are determined by external forces completely beyond my control, then my freedom is compromised. However, if my actions arise from my own internal, consciously deliberated desires and intentions, then even within a deterministic framework, we can maintain a meaningful concept of free will, and, therefore, moral responsibility. However, the compatibilist position faces challenges. Critics argue that even if our actions are caused by our own internal states, those states themselves are determined by prior events, rendering the notion of genuine choice questionable. The debate hinges on the definition of freedom. Is it simply the absence of external coercion, or does it require a deeper level of autonomy that transcends causal determination? The implications of the determinism versus free will debate extend beyond philosophical speculation. Legal systems, for instance, are predicated on the assumption of free will. Criminal justice rests on the notion that individuals are responsible for their actions and can be held accountable for them. However, a strictly deterministic view would challenge this foundation, raising questions about the fairness and efficacy of punitive measures. Could we justly punish someone whose actions were predetermined by factors beyond their control? Furthermore, the debate touches upon our understanding of moral character. If our actions are predetermined, does it make sense to speak of virtue and vice? If our choices are simply the inevitable outcome of causal factors, can we truly praise or condemn individuals for their actions? The deterministic perspective challenges our intuitive understanding of moral responsibility, prompting us to reconsider the very basis of ethical evaluation. Scientific advancements, particularly in neuroscience and genetics, continue to inform and complicate this age-old debate. The more we learn about the biological and environmental factors influencing human behavior, the more nuanced our understanding of free will becomes. While these findings don't necessarily negate free will, they do force us to reconsider the extent to which our actions are truly free from the constraints of our biological and environmental circumstances. This raises crucial questions about the nature of agency in a world where our choices are demonstrably influenced by factors beyond our conscious awareness. Consider the impact of genetic predispositions on behavior. Research suggests that certain genetic variations might increase the likelihood of certain behavioral traits, such as aggression or addiction. Does this mean that individuals with these predispositions lack moral responsibility for their actions? Or does it simply highlight the complex interplay between nature and nurture in shaping human behavior? Similarly, the influence of environmental factors, such as socioeconomic status, education, and exposure to violence, cannot be ignored. Individuals raised in disadvantaged circumstances may face significantly greater challenges in making ethical choices, yet they might still be held accountable for their actions within the framework of a justice system predicated on free will. The tension between determinism and free will remains a central theme in both philosophy and the human sciences. There is no easy resolution, and the debate continues to evolve with new scientific discoveries and philosophical insights. The implications are vast, touching upon our understanding of justice, morality, personal responsibility, and the very essence of what it means to be human. The ongoing dialogue underscores the complexity of human agency and the need for a nuanced understanding of the factors shaping our choices and actions. Ultimately, Navigating this complex interplay between individual freedom and predetermined influences forms a cornerstone in our pursuit of a deeper understanding of ourselves and our place in the world. The weight of choice, then, becomes a profound reflection on the interplay of these powerful, often opposing forces. The answer, it seems, remains elusive, and the debate continues, pushing the boundaries of our understanding of the human condition. Embracing the weight of choice, as explored in the previous section, can feel overwhelming. The seemingly endless possibilities, coupled with the knowledge that our decisions shape our lives and the lives of others, can induce a sense of paralysis or even despair. However, the path toward a fulfilling existence doesn't lie in avoiding responsibility, but in actively embracing it. This embrace isn't a passive acceptance of fate, but a conscious engagement with the power of our choices, a recognition of our agency, and a commitment to personal growth. The first step in embracing responsibility lies in cultivating self-awareness. This isn't simply about acknowledging our strengths and weaknesses, but also about understanding the intricate interplay of factors that influence our choices. As we've discussed, our decisions aren't made in a vacuum. They are shaped by our genetics, our upbringing, our social environment, and our past experiences. Recognizing these influences doesn't absolve us of responsibility, but rather provides a more nuanced understanding of the context in which we make our choices. It allows us to identify patterns in our behavior, understand the roots of our motivations, and ultimately make more conscious and deliberate choices in the future. Self-awareness, in this context, also involves recognizing the impact of our choices on others. Our actions ripple outward, affecting not only ourselves, but also our families, our communities, and even the broader world. Understanding this interconnectedness fosters empathy and a deeper sense of responsibility. It shifts our focus from a narrow self-interest to a more expansive consideration of the consequences of our actions. This isn't about guilt or self-reproach. Instead, it's about cultivating a more holistic and compassionate perspective, enabling us to make choices that align with our values and contribute to the well-being of others. The act of accepting responsibility, despite the potential for mistakes and failures, fosters resilience. Life inevitably presents challenges, setbacks, and moments of profound difficulty. When we shirk responsibility, these difficulties tend to amplify, leading to a sense of helplessness and despair. However, when we embrace responsibility, we acknowledge our role in shaping our circumstances, providing a foundation for proactive problem-solving and personal growth. We become active agents in our own lives, capable of navigating adversity with greater strength and determination. Facing setbacks with a sense of personal responsibility encourages us to learn from our mistakes, adapt to changing circumstances, and emerge stronger from the experience. This process of learning from failure is crucial for personal growth, fostering a sense of self-efficacy and an increased capacity to handle future challenges. Furthermore, embracing responsibility cultivates a profound sense of agency. When we take ownership of our choices, we empower ourselves. We move from being passive recipients of life's events to active participants, shaping our destinies rather than simply reacting to them. This sense of agency is fundamental to well-being and personal fulfillment. It fuels our motivation, enhances our self-esteem, and contributes to a sense of purpose and meaning in life. This sense of agency isn't about controlling every aspect of our lives. It's about recognizing the influence we do have and using it constructively. The path toward embracing responsibility isn't always easy. It requires courage, self-reflection, and a willingness to confront difficult truths about ourselves and our actions. It may involve acknowledging past mistakes, accepting the consequences of our choices, and making amends where necessary. However, this process of self-accountability is essential for personal growth and a deeper understanding of ourselves. Practical strategies can assist in this process. Mindfulness practices, such as meditation or deep breathing exercises, can help us to become more aware of our thoughts, feelings, and motivations. Journaling can be a powerful tool for self-reflection, enabling us to examine our choices, identify patterns in our behavior, and articulate our values. Seeking feedback from trusted friends, family members, or mentors can provide valuable external perspectives and help us to identify blind spots in our self-perception. Therapy can offer a supportive space for exploring complex emotional issues and developing healthy coping mechanisms. Moreover, setting realistic goals and breaking down large tasks into smaller, manageable steps can help to reduce feelings of overwhelm and increase our sense of accomplishment. Celebrating small victories along the way reinforces positive behaviors and maintains motivation. Developing a strong support network of friends, family, or community members can provide encouragement and assistance during challenging times. This support system isn't meant to remove responsibility, but to provide a safety net and The concept of responsibility extends beyond individual actions. It encompasses our roles within broader social structures. As social beings, our actions have a ripple effect, influencing our communities and the world around us. Embracing social responsibility involves actively participating in our communities, working towards positive change, and advocating for the well-being of others. This can manifest in numerous ways, from volunteering time to supporting social causes, to engaging in constructive dialogue and promoting social justice. It requires recognizing our interconnectedness and acting in ways that contribute to the common good. However, it's crucial to avoid the pitfall of excessive self-blame or perfectionism. Embracing responsibility isn't about becoming a self-flagellating martyr or striving for unattainable perfection. We are human, capable of error and fallibility. The key is to learn from our mistakes, make amends where possible, and move forward with a renewed commitment to growth and self-improvement. Self-compassion is crucial, treating ourselves with the same kindness and understanding that we would offer a friend facing similar challenges. The journey of embracing responsibility is a continuous process of learning, growth, and self-discovery. It's about cultivating self-awareness, building resilience, fostering a sense of agency, and contributing positively to the world around us. It's a path that leads not only to personal fulfillment, but also to a deeper understanding of the human condition and our interconnectedness. It is within this embrace of responsibility, with all its complexities and challenges, that we find true freedom and the potential to live a meaningful life. The journey of accepting responsibility is not a destination, but a continuous process of learning and growth. It's about refining our self-awareness, strengthening our resilience, and nurturing our capacity for empathy and compassion. It's a journey that requires courage, self-reflection, and a willingness to confront the complexities of our own actions and their consequences. Yet, it is in this very process of self-discovery and accountability that we find true freedom. The freedom to shape our lives in alignment with our values, the freedom to learn from our mistakes, and the freedom to contribute meaningfully to the world around us. The weight of choice, therefore, is not a burden to be avoided, but a profound opportunity for personal growth and a more fulfilling existence. It is a testament to our agency and our capacity to create a life of purpose and meaning, a life lived in conscious engagement with the profound responsibility inherent in the human experience.